Dog Gadgets live.
Hey.
All right.
We're here.
Why are you so tall?
Happy Thursday, Pete.
There we go.
All right, Pete's readjusting me. Hi.
All good. It's all good.
I'm Josh from Brown Dog Gadgets, and today we're here with yet another thrilling edition of our ongoing series called MicroBit University, where we go over this huge documentation project that we're undertaking, where we're documenting all sorts of crazy ways you can hook up components to microbits and documenting them very thoroughly and boringly. We're doing very well laid out with diagrams and code and explanations and examples. Okay. If you like what you see here, you can follow us on whatever platform it is that you're currently watching us on, either now or in the future. TikTok too, I suppose. I mean,
no,
we don't do TikTok. That. We should. We're vining, Pete. We're going back in time and doing vines.
Someone to do it then.
Great. You can also find all this documentation on our website, browndoggadgets.com, but more specifically, learn.browndoggadgets.com.
All our guides, resources.
For guides, resources,
directions,
curriculum, 3D printed parts and materials, cameos by Pete, who's over in that side. That side? There you go. Yeah, if you're on one of the platforms watching this live here on a wonderful Thursday afternoon in Wisconsin, please comment. Please ask a question. Please chit-chat with us, because we're here. You can also email us for support at help@browndoggadgets.com.
It's true.
But that's I think I got everything there. Great. So today we are doing yet more fun with servos and microbits, which are a great way to interact with the world and a very high interest aspect for students learning how to program and use a microbit. So let's pop over to the above screen.
Right.
Remember too, Pete, I should probably readjust the monitor because it's way below my level. It's all in the future. I always forget to do that.
You weren't really here on time, so
oh, it's true.
You know.
Usually I'm the one doing this. Amanda's gone today. Hope you feel better, Amanda. So we have here one of our bit boards. This is a part that we create as Lego compatible or your favorite brick-based system compatible. So not to be mean to Mega Bloks. And we're plugging in a servo here, which is also brick compatible, block compatible. This is a 270-degree servo. We also have a fun little potentiometer here and a handy-dandy 2 AAA battery pack that we plug in to our bit
Not
board.
plugged in yet, but
no, it's not.
Plug it in.
Now, one thing about our bit board that makes this easy is we have tons of pin headers on the backside. This is a major issue. If you have just a raw microbit like this, how do you hook up a servo? I believe there are adapter cables like pin header to alligator clip, but that's a single servo, which it also uses up a pin on the microbit, and it's just this is easier. We can hook up several servos. It is.
This is easier.
Pete has this servo hooked with the 9-volt, or not 9-volt, wow, the 5-volt area. And over here, we have our 3.3-volt area. Either way will work for your standard small servos, like those beautiful blue 9G servos everyone uses. Of Amazon, this is a very similar thing with a nylon gear, just in a different type of housing with a Lego axle on the end. I am the parts person around here. I love talking about parts.
Josh, in one of our streams, what we did was I had Amanda plug in the USB power and run the servo and then plug in the battery power, and you could see not just increased sort of speed and torque, but precision as well.
Yes.
So like if you tell it to move to a certain position under just the USB power, it'll probably get close, but it's a lot more precise, speedy, and got more torque if you're using those batteries.
And that would be, for those wondering what Pete's talking about, there's a couple different ways to power a microbit. One, using the USB port on top. 2, using the built-in little white JST connector with one of their AAA battery packs. Both of these go directly through power regulation on the microbit, and it pops out on the bottom. You can even see on the bottom here it says 3 volt.
3 volt.
So USB being 5, I believe the microbit is in theory supposed to be able to operate between 1.8 and a little over like 5.5 volts, because USB is up to 5.5. We find this little connector to be atrocious. It's just hard to get out, which is both good and bad. But for most situations, since there's no switch, it's just annoying. We have our little guy here, which has a different type of connector on it, a different type of JST connector. You might actually see these frequently on RC aircraft. Enthusiasts use this variety. There's a few different groups that end up using this a lot, but we like this because it just slides right in. But what we do with our board is we have power management over here on our board. So it's a boost up and then regulated down. So it boosts the 3 volt off of your battery pack, and I think it'll go down to like 1.8, below 2 volts, if I'm not mistaken, to boost up to 5 volts, and then gets regulated out to either 5 volt here in the blue pin area, or 3.3 volt to power the MicroBit and to these pins here. So this is a true 3.3 as opposed to the 3 the MicroBit's kicking out is, or below 3. It just, having a little more oomph on your servos can be nice. Again, depending on what you're doing. We use this board with our Bitboard Rover, which is a robotics kit, and we need locomotion, 2 continuous rotation servos to move it around and drive it. It's really boring if you're running it off 3 volts. It doesn't move very quickly and very respondingly. So we do 5 volts, is just night and day. Now your standard 90 or 180 to 270 degree servos, those kind of guys, as Pete said, will work fine off 3.3 volt. And in most situations, their servos, especially these small ones, aren't super crazy, awesome, accurate to begin with. But it definitely does like having a bit higher voltage in general. So we like giving them a little more power. So Pete has it here plugged into the what is that, pin 14? 13. I can't see. There, 13 in the blue pin area, which is the 5 volt. There's also a pin 13 over here in the 3.3. We could just flip it back and forth. The data pin is the same on them, just it's the voltage difference. We also found too, for a lot of sensors and whatnot, most sensors these days, your standard off-the-shelf like distance sensor, PIR sensor, capacitive touch, all those cheap little, I guess we call them Arduino sensors, have been around for ever and a day. Little OLED screens, little tiny NeoPixel strips. Most of them say 3.3 volt to 5. They are very happy in that 3 to 3.3 volt range without too many issues. I guess the big one that had issues in the past was the distance sensor. If you had a 5 volt distance sensor, it did not like operating off 3 volt.
Right. Yep.
They got really testy and just inaccurate and stopped working. Like the ones we stock in our warehouse are 3.3 volt ones. I think it's 3.3 to 5, and they actually do run really well off that 3.3, same accuracy off the 5. But anyway, most things run fine off 3.3 these days. They're little NeoPixel strips. Technically would love being off of 5 volt.
They're plenty bright on 3.
Yeah, they'll blind somebody from across the room on 3 volt, and they get super bright. So 3.3 is great. Even on here, we have 3.3 volt output on a couple spots here, and we also have I believe we have a 5 volt out. There we go, 5 volt out right there if somebody really needs it. But in general, 3.3 tends to be most situations, which is why we regulate things down to 3.3. Servos being a different beast in this situation. And 5 volts will run the bigger, beefier servos too, but it's the small servos which everyone tends to use for these classroom projects or home projects because they're inexpensive, they're small, they're readily available everywhere. So anywho, let's jump into MicroBit University before I chit-chat all day about random parts. Potentiometer, turn it left and right to get different amounts of resistance. And I'm going to plug this MicroBit in here. This is the first project. And I'm going to plug in my power. Doo-doo. There we go. This is chapter 26, 270 degree servos, potentiometers. Yes, we're on chapter 26. We've gone past the 25 mark into 26, and we keep on trucking, Pete.
Quarter of a century.
There you go. It's it can rent a car.
Yeah, okay. So, Josh, we've got example A here, which we call Servo Potentiometer Sweep. And you can guess what this one is by looking at it, I'm sure.
You turn the potentiometer, and the servo turns.
It does indeed.
It's a sweep. Not a brush, not a creep, not a beep. It's a sweep.
Okay, and look at we've got a start block in here. Nothing to do because nothing we have to set up. Super simple code. All we're doing is reading that Potentiometer connected to pin 0, which I think you can see it's got 3 volts and ground running through it, and then the wiper changes the resistance, as you said, so that pin just reads that value. It's going to be between 0 and 1023. You can see down here we actually take that value and we're going to map it from the 0 to 1023 of the potentiometer to a scale that works with the servo, which is 0 to 180. So as you turn that, you see it sweeps the whole movement that servo can do.
Now, for people wondering, hey, Josh, doesn't look like quite a 180. That's because this is a 270 servo.
Yeah, we covered that.
Yeah, we covered that a while back. That's
yes. And make code only goes to 180 on the servos.
If you're doing very precise things, you have to do a little bit of math to figure out where those spots are. Clearly, 0 is 0. And 180 is 270.
Yeah. And we covered those in previous guides as well. So many guides. You have a question?
Getting jittery.
Yep.
Because it's a servo with a potentiometer.
Well, and it's also, it's reading that value. And that value, we're not sampling that data and averaging it. So you're going to see, 512, 511, 513. It's going to jump around. That's the nature of reading an analog input.
And this is a very simple way of controlling a servo with a physical input. And this would be the way if you wanted to have students control a servo. A potentiometer is a really easy way to do that. Again, potentiometers are just a resistor that you can change resistance on. There's a lot of ways of making your own potentiometer from scratch, like say using Play-Doh or You could do it. You could make your own potentiometer on Play-Doh.
It would just feel weird, I think.
Play-Doh with like a wand, and you move that wand across the Play-Doh. The further away you get from the terminal on the end, the higher resistance it is across that Play-Doh because it acts as a big resistor. Bare conductive paint, which is
a linear potentiometer.
Yes, it is.
I gotcha.
And bare conductive paint, remember, we used to do that as well with it's a graphite-based paint that's available all over the place. Similar situation, the further you get out, the more resistance it has. I see people do it with graphite, make a big dark line on a piece of paper with a number 2 pencil. And similar situation, you get a different amount of resistance across that. You can buy big old potentiometers, pretty cheap and easy. Those are all panel mount, like an old stereo or volume knob. Yep. But there's lots of easy ways to make potentiometers and do fun potentiometer things for physical inputs to control something. Anyway.
Okay.
Potentiometers are kind of fun it's a fun way to manipulate a piece of electronics with a human input. And especially with kids, a way that is memorable, that is hands-on, that they can also make and do themselves. That's the one that they can make a Play-Doh thing. They can do the graphite. They can do the bare conductive paint or whatnot. So it's a nice kinesthetic interactivity.
Okay.
Anyway, that's the middle school teacher in me still talking.
Still there, huh?
I keep trying to purge it out every chance I can.
Okay.
Let's go
on to the next one, Josh.
Right, I'm going to pull this guy out and throw him across the room.
No, don't. Please don't.
I'm going to go to my handy MicroBit caddy.
Okay.
Which one day will be up on our website as a printable file.
Once we're done with MicroBit University. Okay.
Code for this guy.
Let's look at the code for this one. So this one you'll see has the very descriptive name, Servo Reverse Sweep.
Yeah, so now whenever I was turning this, now if I turn the opposite way, like it's operating opposite the way it was before.
Right.
So before when I turned it left, it went right. When I turned it right, it went left from my perspective here in front of me. Now it follows me when I'm turning it. Again, depending on how you have this thing mounted, it might be helpful to do that.
So Josh, all we did with our code is we swapped these two values. So instead of running the map from 0, 1023 to 0, 180, we're running it from 1023, 0, so it reversed it, flipped it around, right?
Exactly, Pete.
Map will work either way. You can feed it values that'll still make a scale match another scale sort of thing. And Josh, one thing I'll note, the potentiometer there, you'll notice I have 2 pieces of tape on one side, and then the one piece on the other.
Yes.
I had better results than if I ran them all on one side. It felt like every now and then it would like just not sit real good on one piece of tape. And you need all 3 pieces connected to. So that seemed to work best for me in my testing.
Yeah, these work decently well. It's just every now and then your tape, especially with something that's an input-output, so you get jittery results.
With an LED, like output, you know if it's working or not working, or it'll kind of blinky. But and for something like this, if it is a little loose, like if you were to, don't remove it, but if you were to remove it, you'd see that servo sort of jumping around because it would still read all these floating values. You're going to remove it, aren't you? No, don't remove it.
I wasn't going to.
You're going to get it.
Well, I'm going to now.
Oh!
All right. Okay.
Next. What do we got next? We have our servo sweep speed. Like your favorite movie, Josh.
Speed 2.
No, servo sweep.
It's the one without a boat.
Yeah. Okay, so this time we've got a little more going on here. And you'll see it's moving all on its own. Oh, now you're just... So what we're doing this time is we're not controlling the angle, but we're controlling the speed of that sweep. So in our code, we've got this, we set up a variable called speed val. And then we call a function that is named getSpeedValue. And what that does is pretty much what you just saw in the other one. It's going to do an analog read. It's going to map those values, and then it's going to assign it to that value. And then over in our big forever loop, we're going to first set the angle to 0. So as soon as you boot up, it's going to set that servo over to 0. And then it's going to loop 180 times because you can move that servo 180 degrees. Within that loop, it's still going to keep checking if you've moved that potentiometer. So while it's doing that loop, it's still checking to see if you've turned the dial. And then it's going to tell the servo to move just 1 degree. It's going to start at 0, and then you're going to change that value by 1. So it's just going to keep moving just 1 degree. And it's going to pause. And this is where our speed value from the potentiometer comes in. So it's going to change how long it waits between moving those 1 degrees. So once we do that 180, we're at 180. We honestly don't need this here because we're already at 180, but I find it handy just to make sure you can look at that code and understand a little easier. We're going to do the whole thing in reverse, and by reverse, I mean we're going to do -1 down here. So we're going to change that value counting down from 180 to 0. And as you saw, the knob will change the speed. Fun one, right?
Yes.
Okay. I lost you for a minute there.
I was buffering.
Static on the line. Okay. So any questions on that one, Josh? We got our function there.
No.
Call our function there. We call
our
here,
function here.
Call it there. Okay,
call it whenever
cool.
I want to call it. It's on.
Okay, we got one more here. The servo potentiometer step, which I know is your favorite dance move.
I believe it's called the robot.
This one does.
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto.
You got it.
For doing the jobs nobody wants
to.
Well,
no one wants to do that.
Don't make me recite the entire song because I probably could.
Okay, so this code, again, this is similar to some other code we've used, but basically what we're going to do is we're going to read that potentiometer value once again, set it to a variable, and then we're going to have this big if-else sort of ladder, as it were. And we're going to check, is that value greater than 0 but less than 255? So go all the way to 0, Josh. All the way to 0. Okay. So as you may guess, as you turn it slowly, Josh.
Oh,
Okay. I'm just. Yeah. So we've got how many positions there? Did you manage to count them? 4. Yeah. So we're basically checking, is the value between this and this? Do that. If it's between this and this, do that. So we've just kind of taken that 1023 and broken it into 4 distinct areas. So I like to call this sort of the multi-selector switch. So it's not a switch, it's a potentiometer, it's a knob, but you can turn it and you just get 4 distinct sort of positions for that servo. Pretend you've got, 4, like a dial thing with 4 zones. DEF CON, what do they go to? 1, 2, 3, 4? I don't even know.
They count down, I believe.
I know. Just heard that the other day.
It's like 4, 3, 2, 1.
I think it's 5. I think it starts
Danger
at 5.
Zone.
I think we're usually at
DEFCON
5.
3.
I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, you could have a little dial to turn and you move it into those different zones. So Josh, you'll notice on this first one here, we're checking if it's greater than 0, but less than or equal to 255. But at the end, we're not checking to see if it's greater than 1023. We could, but we already know that it's or less than 1023 because it should never be. So like in theory, we could remove that part and just say
if it's less than 255.
You can simplify things because you don't expect it to be less than 0. It could be.
Yeah, no one expects it to be less than 0, Pete.
Right. Josh, I did a project recently with someone, and we missed the fact we used a distance sensor, and we should have had it checking for a value greater than 0 because we found out if the distance sensor became disconnected, it just showed 0. So, tip for you kids out there, check for 0. Oh, back to normal. There you go. Those are this week's guides.
Pete,
for
I feel I've learned
servos.
something today.
What was it? Do you know?
Don't be less than 0.
Mm.
Put these back in the caddy. So, Pete, what is next week's topic? Is next week's topic 360-degree servos?
Yeah, we'll start. We'll start in on the 360 servo just by itself, just kind of showing how to control that, and that does use an extension in Make code, so that'll be interesting to look at.
And the difference between a 270 and a 360. A 360 is basically a motor you can slightly control with a microcontroller. So it's great for making simple robots that move around.
Right.
Or remote. You could with 2 microbits make a remote control car. So it's a really, really easy way to do that. And we like using them because they're very easy to program in Make code. And we have several projects on our website that use that. So we're going to go over how to control those little bad boys. Like, as always, again, go to learn.browndoggadgets.com. You can't find this 3D printable thing up there, but it will be up there eventually. We have a bunch of other fun stuff.
Get it up there.
We had Pete, this week we had a lady email us saying how much she really loved we had a little MicroBit holder. Little
handheld.
It's a little like kind of like a little mini game controller your microbit slots into, and a battery pack. How much she loved doing that because all the other ones she downloaded would not print out well for her, Pete, but ours printed out beautifully every single time on her 3D printer. So that's up on our website amongst other things. But then after, let's forget this too. After we get done with 360 servos, we start moving on to 7-segment display, which is one of my favorite ones because you can show all sorts of good data off that, and then all the crazy sensors that are built into the microbit and how to, show them on a variety, all the other things we've learned. But no, this is cool. MicroBit University keeps on being a really cool resource. We're going to keep posting things up there. We might get up to 50 chapters at some point. But if you...
Soon. I mean, I would say, let's see, in 6 months. Who knows?
26 means we've done 26 weeks of MicroBit University.
Yeah,
not to mention, we've done...
We only skipped a couple weeks in there, I think.
Yeah, because we were traveling, and then
travel and stuff.
Big workshop times too, where a week was full of workshops. But we're going to get going with that, keep going with that, and do some more fun stuff. And I know at the end, once we get through all the stuff that we have that are in our kits, we're going to add on a few of the other common things out there.
Look at all these guides.
Well, I mean, Pete, you've written some nice little mini guides already for your off-the-shelf little OLED screens in a microbit.
Yeah,
that's one of the ones we've done before. PIR sensors, rotary encoders, things that we don't stock at Brown Dog Gadgets or put in our kits, but we know people like to use. They're very common, easy, and inexpensive parts you can find online. Mm-hmm. So we always like to make sure, once we're done with all of our stuff, let's throw in some little guides on on those other fun common parts, because I know the biggest issue you run into with educators is that you'll end up with kids who say, hey, I've got these two random parts. How can I make them do something with each other? Okay. And that's always been a documentation issue that we have seen with microbits, especially as people add more and more common parts, hooking things into microbits. If I hit a button and I want an LED to turn on, that's easy. But if I hit a button to make a servo turn or a distance sensor with a servo, how do we do that? And having nice step-by-step guides that are laid out very clinically and easy to understand. That's what we want to do with this project. Also, so that when teachers come to us like, hey, I've got one of your kits, how do I make these two things work? We're like, here's an example guide with a diagram and a rambling video.
Yeah.
Usually Amanda does a better job.
And we can definitely, I mean, there's a lot of these we could expand on. So typically we do about 4 examples.
Well, yeah, average 4.
And you know, it shows a few basics of code, but there's, I think I was talking with Amanda last week, but there's a lot of stuff in buttons. Like I can go deep into buttons, but you know, we talked about like press and release versus press and hold. I didn't even get into like short press versus long press, like double taps, stuff like that. So, and that's the kind of stuff where, like, when I've done that stuff in the past, you need a code example. You need like an example of how that code works, because writing it yourself, if you don't know how, it's hard. But if you get a code example like we're doing here, it gets you halfway there.
And I know too, we have to go back and link up projects that we have done that are, like, say, an LED with a servo, for instance, like a push button with a servo or a push button with an LED. What's an example project we have up? Because you have so many projects. Like, what's one that uses that basic idea?
Yeah.
Or in the future, us design stuff. Hey, Pete, what's the difference between you and an Amish person?
I'm in the studio with you here.
No, you're really into buttons.
Do they not use them?
No, they don't.
They use zippers or something?
No, the classic hook. Like a little, like an eye hook.
What's wrong with those people?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just, if you're really into buttons.
Even if they make their own, because as I understood it, as long as they create it, they're fine using it.
They're also really big into roller skates, so that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of Amish in Milwaukee. No.
Never seen any.
Anyway, it's a Thursday afternoon. Good times. Well, thanks everyone for watching us and our horrible end of talking joke. Amanda will be back next week to do this far better than me. She's watching. I apologize for being here in your absence.
She's napping.
She's probably napping. Yeah. But check our stuff out. We'll be back again next Thursday. Amanda will be here hopefully Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday to do more live streaming fun stuff. Find out these directions for free. We always put our resources out there for you, whether or not you like us. We hope you do. But if you don't, please use our resources because they're pretty darn nice. But have a great afternoon. And, happy Halloween tomorrow.
Exactly.
If you're watching this in the future, it won't be Halloween for you. But if you're watching it here on October 30th, tomorrow is Halloween. So happy Halloween.
All right.
Goodbye.
Thanks for watching. Please visit browndoggadgets.com for parts, projects, and curriculum. Follow us on social media @browndoggadgets. We'll see you next time.